Welcome to the City of Lathrup Village City Council's regular meeting for Monday, July 22nd. Madam Clerk, can you please do roll call?
Roll call. Mayor Garrett.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Cantor.
Present.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Present.
Councilmember Siddiqui.
Here.
And Councilmember Stallings.
Present.
Madam Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. I invite everyone in the audience to say the Pledge of Allegiance with us. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I have an approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The approval has passed. For the consent agenda, the approval of minutes for June 17, 2019 study session.
So moved.
I make a motion. Was it the whole?
Sorry.
Or just
Yeah.
June
One day I'll
7th.
get it
Yeah.
together. So it's approval of minutes for June 17, 2019 study session, the approval of minutes for June 17, 2019 council meeting, and the approval of minutes from June 22nd, 2019 special council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion around the consent agenda?
Yeah, I have a few things, actually. On page 4, for the city council meeting on June 17th of 2019, it shows council members Ian Ferguson and myself as attending, and we were both absent. Likewise, on page...
This is on the 17th, June 17th?
Yeah, page 4 of your packet.
Okay.
In page 11, it shows, where was it? Somewhere else on here. I think it mentioned both Ian and myself. Oh, yeah. Under adjournment, it shows yes votes by Ferguson and Cantor. So again, we weren't there. And then on page 8, with the adoption of the sidewalk recommendation, it says conditional. Again, I wasn't here, but I did watch it a couple times, and during the discussion, there was, it kind of got bogged down in terms of financially how things were going to get paid for, and whether or not there was, how many years, 3 to 5 years or whatever. And so the city administrator indicated that those were administrative details, and it was then noted, I think, by the city attorney that we were approving it conceptually, which makes sense because it's a recommendation, so that's by definition is a conceptual proposal, I guess. And so then when the motion was made, it was mentioned that the motion was made conditionally, but there were no conditions stated. And I think it was supposed to be that the motion was to adopt it conceptually as it was made. So it says conditional in here, and I don't think. And again, if it was conditional, there would have had to have been conditions listed. So I think that should be conceptual.
I don't think there were any conditions
Right.
at that time. I think we just had a discussion
Right.
about how it was going to impact the community, but we didn't.
Right.
We accepted the fact that this was general.
Right.
I
So,
agree.
right. So it should have been
There were no
conceptual
conditions.
instead of
Yeah.
conditional.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with
And that's
that.
all I have.
Anyone else? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The consent agenda is approved. Next, we have the consideration for the approval of disbursement reports and investment reports. Disbursement period June 1st, 2019 through June 15th, 2019 for $60,522.04.
I make a motion that we accept the disbursement report for the period of June 1st, 2019 through June 15th, 2019 for $60,522.04.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion? And I think I do, but I just can't find which page that I...
16.
Pardon me?
16.
I think she has a question.
You said it's on page 16.
Oh, you have a question? Oh, I thought you were saying it starts.
It's on page 23. So
Oh,
but
okay. Sorry.
is that under
Yeah, that was gonna be my question, is when do we, I always get confused, because we used to do this as a group, didn't we?
Do what?
All three?
No,
of
we
these?
went back.
No, they had to be
No,
individual.
We went back.
right.
So I think this one goes under the next one, so,
Yep.
Yeah, because it's the
yeah,
whole month. so-
okay,
Yep.
so I'll have none. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the first disbursement report is approved. The second one is for disbursement period June 16th, 2019 through June 30th, 2019 for $750,000, $750,599.59.
So I'll make a motion to accept the distribution report for the period of June 16th, 2019 to June 30th of 2019 for $750,599.59.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I've got
So
a couple.
now
But you go
I-
first.
Thank you. So on page 23, I was just wondering, for the town locksmith, for $1,500, we're completely locked out of the building. What happened?
We have a system, an automatic system that allows us to open and unlock the doors automatically. And as it turned out, it was having a malfunction, so we needed a significant upgrade to the system.
Oh, okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, on page 25, if I send it to me.
I know.
I was just curious, there was a $6,850 expense for fitness classes. Is that something we purchase for, is that something for the workout facility below, or I was confused on that?
We have the arrangement with the One Life Fitness for the exercise classes, and they get a percentage of the registrations. So this was that payment for, I think, essentially a year period of time.
Okay, and then on page 27, there was a $16,830 expense for the sewer system. It says cure-in-place pipelining. Was that for grout sealing? Because I know we were talking about having a grout sealing program, but I thought we were done with the cure-in-place piping.
I'm sorry, which one?
Fourth line down on page 27, 16,830.
830. 16,830.
I'd have to look that one up.
I can help you there.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I didn't know you were still here, Scott. Okay.
There was an emergency repair over on Sunnybrook. The sewer was failed, there was a couple of sinkholes, and there was 2 or 3 backups upstream of that.
Okay.
So it was videotaped, determined that it needed to be lined,
Okay.
and the city used the same contractor that had previously been doing their lining at the same unit prices.
Got it, yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
Just a quick question on the concert in the park, the 3Y Entertainment.
What
It's
page is that?
1,200, pardon me?
What page are you on?
I'm sorry, I'm on page 25. I'm just interested to know the 3Y Entertainment and the BMI license renewal. Just an explanation.
The BMI license renewal, when you play music publicly, there are licenses required, and you need to get that approved through the BMI service. And what was your question on the
Is that what we pay weekly, the $1,200 for the entertainment?
weekly? No.
Okay.
No. It's
Okay,
Each
so
con-
they're set up, who is 3Y Entertainment? Do you see it there on?
I see, yeah. Concert in the Park, 3Y, right below.
I'd have to look up which entertainer that is. I think it might be Lord Yancey, because he was one of the higher ticket prices.
He was
Yes.
he was the first one,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. But they're not 1,200 every?
No,
No, no.
Okay.
this may be in the range of the last one, which is throwing that up, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know the citizens really enjoy it, so, but thank you.
Anything else? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Disbursement reports are approved. Now we'll have the consideration of departmental reports.
I believe you had the investment report
I'm
as well.
sorry, yep, I just
That starts
skipped right
on
over
page
city.
18.
They're not all approved, so take that back. The city annual investment report and investment account balances, and that's up until June 30th, 2019. Need that approval. I need that motion.
So move to accept the city annual investment report and investment account balances through 6/30/2015.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Now, the disbursement reports and investment reports are approved. Next, we'll have the consideration and acceptance of the departmental reports.
I will make a motion to consider and accept the departmental reports.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion? I thought I did have something in here.
I did too.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, on the enforcement reports,
What page are you on?
well, it's through there, but it starts on 55, but it's all through the report. Then I noticed that we have some blanks for the statuses. So, like one says it's discovered, which I assume that would be a new entry, and then resolved or closed. But what does it mean where they have no status?
I would have to check back with code enforcement. I would imagine that that field just wasn't entered, the data wasn't entered into it.
Okay. So it's like from page 60, that's what I was just wondering if, for example, for page 60, it has problem reported and then nothing underneath it, and I'm wondering if that's just because they all were the same thing. So if we could find that out.
Yes, I'd have to check.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, can we get the call log again? It wasn't in this packet. Typically, it comes in when we have our packet. The resident call log. For some reason, it wasn't in here.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I just want to thank the reports that we have open and closed dates. That's very, very helpful in these reports. Just wanted to thank you for that.
I feel like we're dancing.
Yeah, we are.
All right.
That's thank you for that improvement.
Okay, is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The departmental reports have been accepted. Next on the agenda is public comment. These are the things that we will talk about, or we talk about items that's not on the agenda. So first up is a presentation by Main Street, Oakland County.
Hello, everyone. I would like to introduce Annika Norris. She is our liaison to the Main Street Oakland County program, and she has a few words that she'd like to share with you.
Hi. I'm here today to present to you all with your certificate of being a part of the National Main Street program, specifically the Oakland County Main Street program. You are in at the associate level. We have 3 levels in Oakland County. Kind of come in at the affiliate, figuring things out, make sure you understand what we are and what we offer, and that you'd like to continue on. And you're at the next level, which is the associate level. You bought into the program. You understand that it is a nationally recognized economic development program that's been proven. It's been around for 40 years. There's over 1,000 communities that are a part of the National Main Street program. And then there's the select level, and we have 12 communities right now in the select level. The select level is where we like everyone to kind of get to at some point, because we can get you a lot more money and more support. But we're really happy about where you are. You guys are doing really good things in the community. You received the award this year from the Main Street program on the Rise. There's a lot of excitement. It's fun working with Susie. I quite enjoy being a liaison. It's a really cool job being able to support communities and help them continue to grow in economic in their downtowns, and help with any way we can in your economic development of your downtown. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, but wanted to present you guys with this plaque and thank you for being a part of the program and looking forward to help in many ways in the future. If we could, we'd love to get a picture of everybody with the plaque. Yeah, we try to do that with all the communities that we go into and keep a number of, how many people we're in front of to get the word out about the Main Street program. So,
You want us to do it now?
yeah, if you don't mind.
Do it in front of this.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Can we go to a commercial break? Oh, boy.
Oh, you want me back there? You want me back there? Or we can come around front.
It doesn't matter. Whatever's easiest for you guys. We can stand here. Maybe. Do you want me to take a picture? I'll take a picture.
Yes, please, Mrs. Gadd.
Are you going to come and get in it?
I'm gonna come and get us.
Where's Cheryl?
Come on.
Come on, Cheryl.
Pretty poopers.
No worries. You get one more. Do a crazy stuff.
Too crazy.
Oh, that works out really well. So that's like,
You cropped yourself.
there you go.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Come around and take one with you.
That's all right.
Now, you gave it a lot of depth. It looks like you're way in front of us.
So this is, we just became the affiliate, right?
Well,
No, we've been affiliated
I
for a
thought,
while.
okay, so,
Actually,
yes,
no, you've been the affiliate, sorry, I'm not from the mic, but the National Main Street Program only recognizes 2 levels, the affiliate and select,
okay.
where we have 3 in Oakland County, so we can kind of move you along through the program and get you additional things as you move up. So,
Okay, I thought
Yeah.
so. I thought maybe I was assuming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Feel better?
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience?
Good afternoon. My name is James Farrell. I live at 27040 Lathrup Boulevard, and I hate to kind of cast a little cloud over the joviality that's been here, but the developers of the town hall at 11 Mile and Lathrup Village are in violation of a state law. They've built a parking lot in an alley, and according to that state law, 10 feet of that 20 feet alley belong to me. And I don't want a parking lot on my 10 feet. Not only have they put a parking lot there showing ownership, they've been ordering me around about that space. When they first put the lots there, all the parking spaces face my property, from the front of my yard to the back of my yard. And on a number of occasions, I would open my garage door or walk out my back door, which also faced the lots. And there would be cars parked there, close enough that if I had writings on my back wall, they could read it. So what I did, I put traffic cones out to block that area. And a few days later, they called me and tell me, the building across the street are going to have a meeting, so you need to take those cones down. Also, when I come out of my garage, I make a right, go down the driveway to Lathrup Boulevard. That area in front of my garage, the pavement, is about 1.5 feet to 2 feet beyond my property line. They told me that they were going to cut that. Well, I didn't want to do it, and I tried to talk them out of it. And they said it was going to cut it anyhow. But later, about a month or 2 later, Jeff Julius is my contact person. He told me that I had to cut that extension. So come to find out, that extension is into the alley. I had more right to be governing that area than they did. But as I said, they was ordering me around. I hope that you can give me some relief. I mean, it's like you gave them permission to come in, and in my opinion, they're walking all over me. And I need some relief. It seems that, they have carte blanche. They're doing anything they want to, when they want to. Like, they've been building now for maybe about 4 or 5 years and haven't finished not one building, but yet and still, I've endured the noises and things of a construction site. There were periods of time when there'd be only one guy working 2 or 3 heavy equipment out there throughout the periods of time. So like, I've endured all of this, and it's just all of this. They've encroached on my, enjoyment of peace and happiness. You've enjoyed my home, so I would appreciate it if you guys would do something to assist this Lathrup Village resident. And if you're not the one to do it, then advise me. Who should I be talking to? And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have to follow up with Mr. Farrell, or this is concerning?
Well, excuse me, I know that there's been discussions between the developer. The problem is the developer that is developing those townhomes does not actually own the parking, no longer owns the parking lot. So they've sold that to a third party that now owns that, and there have been attempts to get discussions with that property owner to work out some sort of a resolution with you with respect to protecting your privacy. That alleyway is actually owned 100% by the city. So you would only be entitled to the 10-foot ownership if the city were to vacate that alley. There has not been any request, nor do I believe there's any intent by the city to vacate that alley. There was some discussion about the owner of that potentially requesting a licensing agreement from the city to use that as a parking lot, but the city has not received any sort of an application for that. So as it stands right now, it is still public property, which should be open to the public. So they shouldn't be restricting anybody from ingress and egress of that, and really shouldn't be using it for the parking of cars. It should be an alley for passage. So that's something that the city, I think, has followed up with them regarding. And again, I know that there have been discussions attempting to work out some sort of a resolution with you. I don't believe that they've been able to bring all the parties to the table. So
Are there currently parking spaces in the alleyway?
I believe it's striped for parking.
Yep.
So should we have them remove the striping? I mean, if they shouldn't be having parking in there, then the striping should be removed.
It should be an alley that shouldn't be allowed for parking.
Yeah, because what's the discussion? It's an issue of code enforcement now, right? When it comes to,
A little bit of code enforcement, and unfortunately, it was not. The city didn't realize that it was an alley at the time when they approved that phase 1 of that development. It was presented. The site plan was presented for that to be used as a parking lot. They presented it as if they owned the entire parcel and that there was no alley. It's subsequently been discovered that the alley is still there. It's just never been developed as an alley. So it's a platted but undeveloped alley. So ownership does remain with the city, though.
So bottom line, the stripes need to be removed.
Right.
Redone,
Removed, or the city should
vacated.
potentially work with them with respect to a licensing agreement. But again, Mr. Farrell's concerns about his privacy are something that the city has been trying to incorporate before issuing any sort of a license. And as I had indicated, the city is yet to receive any sort of a license application for that
Well,
area.
perhaps if we put a little bit of, I don't know, pressure to remove those stripes out of the alleyway.
Maybe that might get them to
And that will
move.
get them to see that this is an issue, it's starting to be an issue. So if something can be written up that this, first step, you need to move this, and then that might open some discussion.
I agree. I don't know why, you have to wait to have a meeting. If they're wrong, we should just go out and let them know that they have to move the stripes.
Yeah, the problem has been getting in contact with the now property owner. I don't have any contact information for that individual, so I was speaking with the representatives from the townhome development themselves. And
So there's nothing in Oakland County that shows who will own that parking lot and where it was sold to someone
I'm
else?
sure there's, that
Oh.
information is out. I don't have it.
Oh, okay,
Right.
okay, gotcha.
But we would just
So
need to get that in.
is that something that you would get? Who would?
Well, it's probably come from our code enforcement
Okay.
department, or a building official should
Okay.
follow up with that. but-
Okay.
So can we have a follow-up with that,
enforcement.
and then by the next study session, have a update, preferably a resolution, but an update.
Okay.
The next study session is
Well, it's not August 5th because that's your joint meeting.
Right.
So I guess it'll be August 22nd.
Okay, can you give us a follow-up in email by
Yeah.
August 5th, though?
Okay.
That'd be great.
And isn't there's a wall on the perimeter, right? So when you're, I was a little confused when you were talking about when you come out of your driveway, that you would see the cars
This was
prior to the wall. Okay, yeah, okay.
The
Yeah.
wall was just recently put up.
Right,
But
right.
the wall
that's-
is where it should be. The wall, I mean,
Well, not really.
Based-
I'm thinking that the wall should be moved another 10 feet back. I mean, I'm claiming ownership to the extra 10 feet. That's what I'm saying. Because the alley is in use, and the law is clear, the state law is clear. And you said the city owner, I'm saying the state law is clear that either the property owner on either side of the alley will gain ownership of that alley.
If the alley is vacated, that's what the state law says.
Right.
The alley has not been vacated.
There's a parking lot there.
But there's a formal process that the city has to go through in order to vacate the alley, which would transfer ownership to the abutting property owners. That has not happened. As I indicated, there's no intention of the city to take that approach. So ownership remains 100% with the city.
There's a
Even
parking
though
lot.
there's a
But that's
parking
what
lot.
we're
on
gonna,
there.
we're gonna try
yeah.
to correct the parking
There's a lot of
lot.
parking lots on city alleys, and most times, the city has licensed those property owners to use that area for parking. There are other instances throughout the city, which this is something that the planning commission is working on, is going through, and there are many alleys within the city which are being utilized for parking, landscaping, several other uses that are not permitted or permissible, but they have been going on. And so the city is going through and requesting and requiring licenses for that use, or those uses be removed and returned to the alley state. So that's the situation we're looking at here. That either they get a license to use that alley as a parking lot, or they vacate the use of the alley as a parking lot and they return it to an alley.
Are you saying that they can use it as a parking lot?
That if they obtain the appropriate license agreement, yes, they could use it as a parking lot.
If we
they get a license,
agree,
right.
if we
Yeah.
agree with that, if we agree, they can't just do it the way that they're currently doing it. But if we went through the procedures to give it to them to do it, and we have not done that. So that's the bottom line, is that the line should not be there.
Right. So I'm in a very similar situation as you, because I live next to a business frontage like that as well, and there's a 20-foot alleyway. It's a public alleyway, but it's been improved, with lighting and landscaping and sprinkler systems and so forth. But it's still the city's property. It doesn't belong to me, and it doesn't belong to the building next door. It's still public alleyway.
That
So
seems to me in violation of the state law.
yeah.
The state law
But-
says there's only two people that can own it, people on either side of the alley.
Right.
Seems like you're in conflict
If,
with that law.
if the city vacates it, there's only two people that can own it. But the city hasn't vacated,
But
that property.
You're making use of it. In other words,
But-
I can't use it because you're using it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The use of it, the illegal use or inappropriate use of it does not necessarily equate vacation.
Right, right.
So you can't vacate by adverse possession. Essentially what you're saying is that they've gained ownership of that through adverse possession, which is not the case. Adverse possession requires a number of conditions that they meet prior to that taking effect, and one of them is a use of that for a time period of 15 years. So, and because the city's on notice that they are using that without approval, that tolls the timing of the 15 years. So there's no way that they could ever acquire that via adverse possession. Likewise, neither could you, because the city is aware now that that is their alley and that it is not properly licensed, but it is being used as a parking lot. So that acquiring it through adverse possession is not an option at this point.
So we agree with you that it shouldn't be there, that the line should not be there. I think the only thing that we don't agree with is that you own it at this point because the city has not released it. But we do agree with you that the lines should not be there. They don't have a right.
so
So
Madam
Dr.
Mayor,
Sherrill will be
I'm sorry, Madam
dealing
Mayor,
with that.
can we at least, I know we were going to get an update in August, but can we at least try to get some resolution in short order?
Sure, it was by August 5th. I mean, if you'd like to do it sooner. That would be even better, but just have a, what is that,
They
that's less than
continue.
2 weeks?
Right. Well, they continue to build, so I'm sure that.
Well, that's
a
not
pro-
gonna stop them from building. It's about just removing the
Using it as a
Stripes.
parking.
the
using-
stripes,
yeah.
existing stripes, and this is also the hope that this will open up some communication. So giving them 2 weeks to report back to us is enough time to send something out and for them to respond, and then what our next steps are, if they don't or if they do. So, I mean, we can do it as fast as the process goes.
Yeah. I think it was just by the 4th, but I'm sure we'll look into it.
Okay.
You're welcome. Do you have that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. We're going to get it resolved, or resolved, I'll say that. Thank you. Does anyone else have anything? Okay. We don't have any public hearings, so we'll go right into our action requests, which is first is consideration of the approval of agreement with Lathrup Services, Inc.
Mayor and council members, what you have before you is a new agreement with Lathrup Services, which essentially provides the services that were under the Department of Public Services. And the contract is for, what is it, $395,911. It was approved in the adoption of the 1920 fiscal year budget. It reflects a 4% increase overall and the addition of another staff person to increase the scope of services under the contract.
Thank you. Need someone to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the master services agreement with Lathrup Services LLC for the budgeted amount of $395,911, authorize the mayor to sign on behalf of the city.
Second?
It's been moved in second. Is there any discussion?
Well, I was just going to, not so much discussion, just as a comment, I just think that by adding another, resource, I think it's going to help the residents in terms of getting the things that they want done by the DPW. So it gives them more resources to fix things around town, and I think it's a good thing.
And then part of this, and I don't know if I don't know it's public knowledge, but just to know that we do have written out standards for the snowfall policy, and it's broken down in priority 1, 2, and 3. And we've asked to have a flow chart added to either the cable station on TV,
Or on
the
the
website, and then possibly in the newsletter
Yeah.
that goes out, just to show a flow of how we will go through the different priorities.
I mean, it does make sense because we have that section for leaf pickup. There's a section in the newsletter that gives you that, so,
The newsletter that'll go out.
yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The contract or agreement is approved. Next up, infrastructure study group report and road recommendations.
Okay, I'll take that one. We formed a infrastructure committee, and I'll just kind of hit the high points here because this is a 5-page recommendation, but for the residents who don't have it in front of us who may be watching, I'll just hit some of the high points. We formed an infrastructure committee back in March to look at various infrastructure systems within the city, and we have come up with a recommendation for the roads and the storm ditches. And first off, what I want to do is thank the committee members who worked hard and put a lot of effort into coming up with this recommendation and our sidewalk recommendation last month. So we've got Joe Robinson in the audience, Hugo Cardenas, Mike Keenan, and Greg Ruvalo, and then we had several consultants who worked along with us. One, our city administrator, Cheryl Mitchell, Scott Ringler, who's our city engineer, Jill Boehm, who's our city planner, and I'm forgetting one person.
Right here, right here.
Councilmember Siddiqui, who also served as an advisor on the committee. So, you know, basically, in a nutshell, we all know that our roads have issues that are crumbling, potholes. You know, they're just not great roads. There's safety issues, damage to our cars and so forth. And we also know that the storm ditches don't work appropriately. We have, you know, you get a moderate rain, we have standing water that sits for a couple days to, you know, a couple weeks, depending on the ditch, which attracts animals and insects. The water backs up onto people's lawns and sidewalks, so it damages the lawns and the sidewalks. And most importantly, you know, the storm ditches are designed to carry water away from the roads. And what happens when the water sits in the ditches there, it gets underneath the roads and it damages the roads from within, so it shortens the lives of our roads. So we have some big issues along with those two systems, and basically due to, you know, financial constraints of our municipality, as well as, you know, other municipalities across the state are having the same issues. We don't have not had the money to maintain these systems properly. You know, we have the effects of Proposition A, of the Headley Amendment, state shared revenue, and the real estate crash of 2008. All of those have caused our revenue to drop, you know, in the neighborhood of 40%, which has ended up in less money to put towards these systems. In fact, you know, our current approach has been putting a repaving about 0.4 miles of city road per year, because that's all that we can afford. Given that we have 21 miles of residential road, you do the math, it's going to take 53 years to get to all of the roads. So we have to do something. So the committee was tasked with coming up with a recommendation, which we approved as a committee unanimously. And what the recommendation says is that we will basically touch or either repave, repave, reconstruct, or rehabilitate all 21 miles of our roads within a 6-year period, which will begin, actually, if you go online and you look at this document, it actually has one inaccuracy to it, and we'll fix that, but it will actually begin next summer as opposed to 2021, which is listed in the document. So we'll reconstruct, rehabilitate, or resurface all roads within the city. What gets done to your road depends on the condition of your road. The really bad roads where the substructure is damaged, along with the 5 inches of asphalt that's on top, those roads will get reconstructed fully. Roads that have a good substructure but the asphalt topping is bad, we'll rehabilitate those with 5 new inches of asphalt. And then roads that are in better condition, we'll just mill off the top 2 inches of asphalt and replace it with new asphalt. So as part of the project, all 1.95 miles of gravel roads in the city will also be paved. And then there are concrete roads in the city that will require full reconstruction. I think there's 1.6 miles of those roads. And those will actually get reconstructed with asphalt, not concrete. So it'll match the rest of the adjoining roads, and it's also a slightly cheaper solution than concrete. As part of this project, we've also included rehabilitating and regrading of the ditch system. So again, we know the ditch system doesn't work. It makes sense to do this as part of a road project, because a lot of the work would have to be done twice if we did it separately. So there'll be massive savings associated with doing these two systems simultaneously. So with the ditches, we'll regrade the ditches so that they flow appropriately. Typically, the ditches are designed to flow from one end of the street to the other. And as we know, a lot of times it doesn't do that because people have roots in their ditches. There's debris, it's backed up. The culvert, you know, underneath the driveway is broken, so it doesn't allow the water to transfer from one side to the next. So the ditches will be regraded so that they're all at the appropriate angle to flow down to the storm drain at the end of the street. Non-functional culverts, so again, the tubes underneath the driveway, those that are non-functional will be replaced as part of the project. And those residents that have culverts that are extended past the driveway, those sections will be cleaned out. We will focus on the lower rated roads first, and there's a reason for that. One, the worst roads definitely need to be replaced because they're just not safe the way that they are. And then some of the roads that are rated poor, we want to get to those roads first, because if they go from poor to, I don't know, what's the word below poor?
Poor.
Poor, oh, but I'm using the wrong language. But I was trying not to get into the PACE rating. There's a system called PACER, which rates the roads from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. So the 1s and 2s are the ones that we'll focus on, because those are the really, really bad roads. The 3, 4s, and 5s, we want to focus on those early on in the project, because those roads over the 6-year project could get worse and fall into a category 1 and 2, where they would need full reconstruction versus rehabilitation. So, and that's a $600,000 delta between those two processes. So we want to get to those first. The cost of the project is steep, and we realize that. It's $21.3 million for the overall cost of the project. There will be, if approved tonight, there will be on the ballot on November 5th, there'll be a millage proposal to do this project, and to repay the $21.3 million. There will be a millage proposed of, well, in the first year it'll be an average, in the first year it'll be 4.4843 mils, and it'll have an annual average over the life of the bonds of 8.3105 mils. And so the average homeowner in Lathrup, when this levy is applied to the taxable value, again, this is the average homeowner who has a taxable value, not assessed value, but taxable value of $67,000. It will cost approximately $300 in the first year and $557 in subsequent years. So it is an expensive venture, but you know there's no money to fix the roads. I mean, based upon what we collect now, you know, we're only able to do 0.4 miles of road per year. Let's see what else. Couple other things. As this project progresses, the city will not be, you know, won't need to use its Act 51 money, and the money that we regularly put towards the road, so that money can be banked. And at the end of the project, we should have enough to do the 11-mile road project that we will eventually need to do. So that because of that, 11-mile road was not included in this particular project. It's residential roads only. And then going forward, we also recommended that a crack sealing process or program should be done annually, starting in year 3 or year 4 of the project. And this is to invest, to protect the investment that we're making. It's a big investment. And if we do a crack sealing project annually, water won't get under the roads, and the roads should last for their entire expected life instead of much shorter, which is what we've been undergoing currently. And then with respect to the storm ditch system, the storm ditches are technically the responsibility of the homeowners to maintain, and that doesn't really happen all that often. But the city also has not had the code enforcement resources to monitor this and let residents know when their ditches need to be maintained. And so we've also recommended that ditch assessment be added to our code enforcement's plate, so that ongoing, once the ditches are fixed, we don't, 10 years later, we're not in the same situation that we're in now. We will also, we just recently did a town hall last Thursday where we talked about this in a lot more detail to kind of educate residents on why we're in the situation we're in, how we got to this situation, talk a little bit about municipal finance, and then talk about a little bit more detail with respect to the proposal, which I will not get into here. But we will have subsequent town halls before the election. Again, if this is approved tonight, we plan on doing door-to-door campaigns. We're hoping to get to every house at least twice. Town halls, we're going to have some interactive information up on the website. In fact, the city manager put up a whole set of documents describing the project, along with things like a map, which will show you exactly when your street will be done based on the schedule, how your street will be done, so whether it's resurfaced, rehabilitated, or reconstructed. There's the actual recommendation that we made is out there. The estimate from our city engineer is out there. What am I forgetting?
The resolution that you're considering
The
today.
resolution that we're considering tonight to put it on the ballot. And I think that's it. So Did I forget anything, Celine?
I think that's good.
Okay, so that was a summary. But again, all this information's up on the website, so if you want to read through it in detail, you can do that. The council has all that information and has read through it, so.
Thank you. So we'll have the consideration of the approval of the resolution of submitting the streets improvement bond proposal and authorize the clerk to take the appropriate actions to have the measure placed on the November 5th, 2019 ballot.
I'll make a motion.
Don't we have to do those separately?
There's only one thing.
Procedurally, you may want to take
No.
item B and just receive and file the recommendation
Right.
from the infrastructure study group first, and then take action on the resolution.
So
So which one you're filing?
Adopt the road recommendation first. That'd be-
I don't think,
I don't
there's
think you
no
have to.
requirement that there be formal action on the
Right.
recommendation.
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
My bad.
Go ahead.
Should I make a motion?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, do it.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution, regarding the street improvement bond proposal.
Second?
It's been moved in second. Is there any discussion?
Yes. I have two questions for Scott. I don't know if Scott is able to come up. Is it possible? Okay. First question is, okay, so based on your assessment out there, you've noticed that some of the culverts basically don't exist, so they're at the same level as the road, and that's what Mayor Pro Tem Cantor had discussed on Thursday and just mentioned briefly. So is it the engineering contention that you will raise the level of the road if that has to be either graded or ground down to the substrate? Because if it's at the same level, how would you accommodate a culvert?
We would be lowering the culverts,
Okay.
not necessarily raising the road. I mean, the road might be raised or lowered an inch or two, but that would be it. Generally, we would be doing a survey through the ditches and getting a grade of the ditch, and then lowering the culverts
Okay.
along with the ditching.
Yeah. So when you decide to add a culvert in that lower area, are you adding it the same way as the most recent one, which is, they have the PVC tube, or are we doing something else?
It would either be PVC or, there's corrugated steel pipe. There's different.
Yeah, which is what we have
types
right
of
now.
materials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's your contention it's a cost advantage to do PVC.
Generally, yes, it's a little cheaper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Those are all the questions I have. Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns?
Can I just make a comment?
Sure.
So my comment is, just that, just want to make sure the residents understand, this is a recommendation that we're putting forth just to put it on our ballot, so we can, as residents, vote to approve or reject it in November. So we've had a town hall already, we're going to have additional town halls and educational meetings, so try to make it as clear as possible what the impact's going to be to everybody. But it's just important to note that, this is for us to decide whether we want to have better roads and better ditches, better infrastructure, which is what I heard when I ran for election last year, or we want to kind of keep going as we're going, kind of doing a little bit at a time, and the result, as we see outside when it rains, is we don't have any good sidewalks to walk in, and the roads aren't in great shape, and so it's going to, I think it needs to be done, but it's going to be up to us to vote on it and decide as a community whether we want this or not.
I think that's my concern too, though, is that we do need to vote on it just to have, I do agree that we need, the ditch systems, the roads and the driveways prepared. But my concern is just with it being such an increase, not having more community time, not having more community input as we move forward. And is there another way to get this done? Is this the only way to get it done? And is there a way, so I know that we need to do this. I know that we need to get Lathrup back up to par of the roads, but I'm just concerned with the timing and not allowing more input from our citizens.
Well, I would respond to that by saying, we talked a little bit about this beforehand.
Right.
I think the input will come from the residents as to whether or not they agree this needs to be done or not. We did, as a committee, talk about other ways of doing this, but in terms of, getting the money to do this, I said this in the town hall, my phrase was that, there is no magic bag of money. I mean, nobody is going to give us the money to get ourselves out of this situation other than our own residents. So that's why it has to be something that the residents decide to do. There's no, federal dollars don't go towards, fixing local roads. We do get some money from the state, but that money that we get right now, we actually have to add additional money from our general fund every year just to get that 0.4 miles of road repaved that we currently do. The state's not going to give us any more money. We talked about this again in the town hall. There's all this talk in Lansing about the roads, but what they're talking about are not our local roads. They're talking about, I-75, 12 mile, 696, M5, the major roads. So there's no money that's going to come to us that's going to get us out of this problem. And one of the issues that we have is the longer that we wait, the more expensive it's going to get when we actually do get to it. Because again, I mentioned a little bit earlier about how, if a road goes from a Paiser rating of 3 and drops to a rating of 2, then you're in risk of having to reconstruct that whole road at $600,000 more per mile. So, we're all residents up here too. It's going to sting, but there's no other solution that we could come up with as a committee, to fix the roads other than what we've proposed. So.
Yep. So I just want to address two things. So I've already made the statement. So this is really Plan B. So Plan A would be we stay on the current road we're on, quote unquote, which is just paving 0.4 miles of road and hoping we get everything done within 53 years, which is unrealistic. And this is Plan B, where we do every road, have a fixed number to pay for it, and in series launch 3 bonds, which is what we didn't really discuss that. So I think it's a sound decision, and I think it's worth doing. The second part of it is, and we talked about seniors on fixed incomes, people who are retired, not necessarily seniors, people who have retired early that's on a fixed income. That's it's gonna put a dent in their pocket, and I believe that the city manager gave us some relief where we can present some more educational information on how to help those people. And I think we have to bring that forward, because these town halls are really about educating you, the resident, to just ultimately understand that roads have to be done, because now we're at 1,000-year rains, freezing and thawing at a crazy rate, and that's only going to increase. And if we even delay this thing 1 year, we're talking about adding, hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it a year later, and we simply can't do that. It wouldn't be feasible for us to do that, to just delay this in hopes that we find a bunch of money to get it done. We just can't do it. So those are my 2 cents on it.
So understand that once this is, if this motion passes, that is going to be on the ballot regardless. It's not going to be an option of where it's not going to be on the ballot. This is where a resident would have to decide, yes, I want to get my roads fixed, because we do understand, and I understand that it's very important to get the roads fixed, but also to be very clear in the monetary effect it's going to have on both your house note and what it's going to have on your tax bill. And that's, and I'll keep saying it every time we bring it up, that is extremely important to me, because it would not, yes, we're going to get the roads fixed, but I also don't want people to have to be taken out of their house because they can't afford their taxes anymore. So just know, and I'm saying this more to the residents, once this resolution or this motion passes, it is going to be on the ballot in November for you to make the decision. And what I'm asking is to be very, very clear, and I really hope that a lot of people turn out and really listen to the town halls on how this is going to affect you personally.
Yeah, and
I agree.
to that end, I also wanted to back up what Kelly's saying, is we will put a calculator out on the website so that individual residents can see exactly how this will affect them. So, I mentioned earlier, to Kelly's point, that it's an average cost of $300 in the first year and $557 in subsequent years for the average homeowner. So some of you are going to have taxable values that are higher than average, and some of you are going to have taxable values that are lower than average. So for some of you, this will be more. For some of you, it'll be less. So in order for you to be able to assess exactly what it's going to cost out of your particular pocketbook, we're going to put a calculator up on the website so you can plug in your taxable value and see what it will cost out of your pocket. So.
I mean, really, our goal as a council, as a whole, is to really educate the residents, just so you understand exactly how we came up with the number, where the money's going to go, and in what time frame this is going to get done. I mean, we have not deviated from any other city that's out there. They've done it the same way, pretty much. And the only difference is they're larger than us.
And they have
And we-
places
and
that
we
they
haven't-
can build,
right,
and
we
build their
haven't-
tax
ex-
structure,
exactly.
their tax base.
Well, we have not really reconstructed any road. We haven't had any major changes like this since
1969.
69.
So the last comprehensive road
yeah,
project.
we haven't done anything, and
Okay.
now
I
it's
have a
time to do
question.
something.
I have a quick question. I know that we have to August 13th or 14th to have the language in. And we've already made a motion, so I don't know if we can do this, but can we just take a little more time to go through this and maybe have a special meeting to actually vote on it, whether or not we want it on the ballot? Is there any way just to add, even a couple of weeks? We could be working on the language in case we decide to do it. But just to get
What's the
more
reason for that?
information. Pardon me?
What's the reason?
I just need to hear, I would just like to hear more from the residents. I would like to see what that calculator actually does. I mean, what would it hurt?
I think that we've been,
What would it
we've
hurt
been
to-
as
what would it
a
hurt?
as a group, study group, and council to some extent have been talking about this since March, and we've had a town hall, and we're going to have additional town halls and meetings with the residents over the next 4 months. So, I don't think we need any more time to decide to put it on the ballot or not. I think once we put it on the ballot, our people, our residents can decide if they want to do this or not. We're not trying to fool anybody. We're not trying to ramrod anything through. Everything is going to be open and as transparent as we can make it. It's going to be up to us as residents to decide if we want to do this or not. I don't think delaying it for another week or 2 weeks or anything else is going to do anything. I think we vote on it now to put it on the ballot, and let's move forward from there.
Right, we're asking for resident input via their vote, and I think we have a very educated population, and I think, they can make the decision for themselves. I don't think waiting another 2 weeks to put the same language on the ballot is going to change anything.
I think for me, it does make a difference. Okay, so I'll restate that it does make a difference for me to vote on it. And first of all, I want to commend the infrastructure team that did all of the work. You did excellent. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying we've done it before for other matters that were not as critical as this one. So I don't see why we wouldn't do it for this.
Well,
So
we are
I
already
disagree.
going to have the town hall meetings where we're going to be bringing
I totally
data.
understand that.
And we're
But you have
going to have
keep, you're
input.
saying that,
I
but the
totally
fact is that the
understand that.
town hall meetings are after it's already going to be on the ballot. So you have to be very clear, and when you're saying that, is that yes, we're going to give you education after we approve it to already be on the ballot.
But
Right.
being on the ballot does
So-
not mean that it's going through.
Yeah, it's not going
right.
It
through.
doesn't
I
mean
fully,
that.
and I think
That's
that
kinda what you're making
Councilwoman
it sound
Stalling
like.
I totally
understands
understand
that also. It's the fact is that you said we had a town hall. We had a town hall on Thursday.
Right, I'm saying
regarding
going
it.
forward.
Today is Monday.
No, I'm saying going
it's
forward.
only 3 days that from the difference of it, and there was a total of 30 to 40 people that was there. I mean, the thing about it is you're absolutely right. We have educated residents that they make the decision themselves. That's correct. But also, it's the fact is that I'm just nervous about it because someone might be where I'm educated to read it, but yeah, I know my roads are really bad, and I don't understand the total financial implication that I'm doing to myself and the prospect of me maybe trying to sell my house too.
I think
Within that 15-year.
Yeah, I think Mayor Pro Tem Cantor gave us really good details Thursday at our
He
State
did.
of the
He
City.
did an excellent job.
As far as the breakdown, I mean, we know exactly where those numbers are going. We know exactly where our tax dollars are going, percentage and a breakdown of just a dollar amount. I think we've been more than transparent. And then I think going forward, we just have to continue to just bring the information. I mean, if someone wants to know exactly when this thing is going to kick in, we're going to have that information. We know what the total is.
And we get that.
What would it hurt
well,
to
here's the
for,
thing. Let's just say we
let me
table
finish
it.
asking my question. What would it hurt to put it off for even this vote for a week or 2 weeks? What would it hurt?
There's no reason to
What's-
do
what's
it.
the
It
reason?
is to me.
What
would it help?
I
Let-
think
let-
that
What would it be? What
Well,
would it-
you said that you got a presentation last Thursday.
Yeah.
I was working and was unable to get the presentation last Thursday. You've had time to consider many of the things that I'd like to consider, and it's not just me. There are 5 of us here. I am just expressing what I'd
Well,
like to see.
I believe that email works because I think everybody got a packet prior to the Thursday.
You had an
meeting.
explanation. You had an explanation. You had someone to give you a presentation.
But the
a
only
package
And I think
is
that was-
not the same
I think
as
it,
being
I think
present
it was, I
as
think
a
it was
present
videotaped.
presentation. Okay.
So
Yeah, and-
I think we do have the videotape to really see the explanation that Mayor Pro Tem Cantor detailed. And I think
And
we can go through it.
The
We
only
can go through it
difference-
again.
The only difference between the detailed presentation that I've done prior to this body and the presentation that you received in the packet today is that the final numbers were in there. And, we could delay it, and we could have, 3 more town halls in between now and when we decide to put this on the ballot. And we could get another 300 people in there to, see the presentation. But that's still only, 15% of our population. So we're not going to educate. We put it on the ballot and educate the population. It's our responsibility to educate the population, but it's also the population's responsibility to educate themselves on the ballot proposal. So it's a two-way street, and everybody is going to have at least 3 months to, receive that education and seek that education out. So I respectfully disagree that,
That's
I don't
That's
think.
okay.
I think it's unprecedented that we've given such level of visibility
Yeah.
and we've been so open about the entire process. We've been beat up prior to the numbers coming in. We've just been saying, hey, this is going to be, we're going to get to a final process where we have a number, and at some point we have to make a decision to pass it as a ballot proposal or not. I think we've been
Why don't we
totally
just vote?
transparent.
Why don't we vote?
So I have another question before taking over. I have another question that was brought up at the town hall regarding the culverts, where we did a program where we did rain gardens, and there are a few rain gardens that are in the culverts. So in doing them, what happens to those rain gardens?
You want me to address that first, and then you can? Yeah, okay. So we've talked about that. That was brought up at the town hall, like you said. As far as from the committee's perspective, we kind of feel like that's an administrative detail. That's something that would have to be decided when the project is implemented. And then Scott and our subsequent discussion on this. There is contingency money that's been built into the estimate that can be used for this, and from Scott's perspective, and I can let him talk about this in a second, that money is very small on an overall, percentage-wise of the project. But then it also, part of the reason why it has to be on an administrative basis, and we can't come up with some overall rule, is...
So let me stop you right here. No, let me stop you here so we won't go into for this all night. When it comes to a rain garden being in the culvert, as it is right now, it's going to be removed, yes or no?
You can't answer that. It has to be an administrative decision, because some rain gardens may have to be removed, depending on, you could have a rain garden in a ditch that's flowing perfectly from one end to the other, in which case we won't have to touch it. You may have another rain garden that, you're right, we did, what was it, 10 years ago, we encouraged people to put rain gardens in their ditches. A lot of them were put in appropriately. There's a process for putting in rain gardens. A lot of people just put one in and without following the process and the rules or the requirements to make
it's
it
per home.
exactly
They
so
have
that it's
to
absorbs.
dis-
They just threw it in,
per
and when
home. Okay.
the people that did that, who didn't do it according to, I'm going to say code, although there is no code, but you know what I mean. The people who didn't do it, better yet, people who didn't do it following the appropriate process may have blocked their culvert and kept blocked their ditch and prevented the water from flowing to one side and the other. Those are going to have to be regraded, and that may destroy part of them. And again, Scott did indicate that we do have some money in there to help repair that. But again, it has to be done on an administrative basis because we don't know how each particular rain garden is affecting the efficiency of the particular ditch system on that particular street. So we purposely didn't get into certain levels of detail in the recommendation because I don't think it's the job of the committee to come up with every permutation and combination of situations that can arise, because when you do a project of this magnitude, there are certain things that are going to have to be handled administratively. And so, Scott, if you want to
Well,
add to
that's
that.
why I was asking
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
to give me the,
Yeah.
not the,
Well, Scott, before you start speaking, we did
no,
make some,
please, Scott,
some
go and please
reassurances.
explain
We
this.
made some reassurances that, at least if someone had a rain garden that was actually working accordingly, I mean, it was being maintained in this one particular young lady, we would give her advance notice so she could actually relocate the plants she had in there. I think that's
yeah.
fair.
Exactly,
So,
and that's what I mean by administrative. It's
Yeah.
going to have to
Yeah.
be handled on a.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce did answer it very correctly. But, before we start doing ditching, we'll be doing a survey, so we'll shoot all the grades. And if the rain garden's on grade, there's no reason to remove and replace it or repair it or ditch through it. Typically when you put in a rain garden, it should be put in at grade. It shouldn't be built up, it shouldn't be lowered. It's basically excavating the existing clay material and putting in, it's basically compost and sand and then plant material on top of that to maintain that grade. They're going to be kind of individually looked at as we get to a specific road that has them on there.
But it's not something that was taken into consideration
No.
for we didn't even do one example on one house to see whether or not they would have to remove it or anything.
No.
Okay. Just want to know, so thank you. So, who had the motion and who seconded it?
I made the motion, I think.
And you seconded it?
Bruce
So
seconded it.
all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye.
The motion carries. Next up is the consideration for the resolution accepting permanent utility easement at 27327 and 27315 Rainbow Circle.
I can talk a little bit about this one. So the property is located at 27327 and 27315, which are right next door to each other on Rainbow Circle, and are located just north of the Michigan First Credit Union redevelopment site. Have been experiencing ponding of water in their backyard as a result of that redevelopment. So Michigan First has proposed the installation of a stormwater drainage system to collect and resolve that issue of water retention. This is something that has been, to say over-engineered is an understatement. It's been very well thought out, a lot of attention, a lot of individuals have weighed in on this. And ultimately, the city's responsibility in this is the continued operation and maintenance of this as part of our storm sewer system going forward. So the necessary documents have already been prepared. The utility easements as well as the construction easements have been prepared. Scott Ringler has presented those to the residents. Both residents have signed off on those. Tonight we're requesting council's acceptance, approval of the resolution accepting those utility easements and allowing them to move forward with this project, which they anticipate Wednesday, I believe, of this week, completing and finishing it, if not Wednesday, Thursday. So this hopefully shall be resolved and those residents won't have any more ponding of water in their backyard by the end of the week.
Thank you.
So I'll make a
So
motion.
is that ponding
Did
of
she do
water
the
in the...
I'll make a motion.
Did she make
To
a motion?
approve.
Well, he made a statement that I don't know, I
Right.
don't think it was
But she
that-
needs to make a
Okay.
motion first.
I'll make a motion to table this until we get additional information.
Anyone a second? motion is not carried. Right? Right.
Correct.
Okay,
Motion
go
fails.
ahead.
So I'll make a motion to approve the resolution accepting the permanent utility easement of 27327 and 27315 Rainbow Circle.
Is there a second?
Second?
So it's been moved in second. Now do you have any discussion?
Yeah, so you said backyard, but I seem to recall that that area where the new evergreen, I call it the mini evergreen forest right on Red River, right in the front, that's a requirement for Michigan First to grade that correctly and tie into our culvert system. And it was not tied in.
I don't know about the Red River location. I haven't heard any
Because
complaints about
there's,
that.
yeah,
but
there is
this-
complaints for that, but
I don't know who they've made them to because the city hasn't received any. So the complaints that the city has received were those two residents on Rainbow Circle, and that's what Michigan First is proposing to do. They're going to be regrading and installing a catch basin and some lines so that that water is directed into the storm sewer system, and it will tie in with the existing system.
are they funding that entirely?
Yes, they are.
Okay, why, okay, because they're late to the game, later than the last information that we approved, which was the garbage containers. I mean, I thought that this would have been a part of the overall engineering site review prior to releasing this building for occupancy.
Well,
'Cause-
the building actually the certificate of occupancy is contingent upon completion of this project. So they have not been issued a full certificate of occupancy. They have a contingent one. And part of the reason for the delay of this project, and Scott could probably speak more to this, but because we've had an abnormally wet spring, they wanted to know what was part of that abnormality and what is part of just the grading problem that they need to correct. Since things have kind of dried out a little bit and we've had a few more heavier rains, and they've been able to more accurately assess what the requirements are. And it's actually involved an expansion of what was initially proposed. So like when I said earlier that this has been very well documented and engineered, and this is not something that just happened last week. This has been going on for several months now. Several different engineers are weighing in on it. Our engineer, Michigan First, has their own engineers, architects. Our building official has been involved in this, so there are a lot of parties that have been working on this.
So why was the building released for occupancy when this clearly was a problem?
Because this really doesn't affect the health, safety of the building itself, and that's really what your certificate of occupancy is, making sure that all your codes and everything in the building with itself, the structure itself, is safe for the occupancy of residents, visitors, employees, et cetera. While this certainly is an issue that came into an existence as a result of the redevelopment, it really doesn't directly impact the health or the safety of the building. So,
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we have the consideration and approval of the first reading and ordinance to amend the City of Lathrup Village Code of Ordinance Act, Chapter 14, Buildings and Regulations, Article, which one is that?
6.
Thank you. Property Maintenance Code by deleting Article 6 in its entirety and replacing it as follows. In order to adopt the 2018 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code as a property maintenance code for the city and to include the necessary additions, insertions, and changes to the property maintenance code necessitated by the adoption. So I'm going to assume you're going to give us some explanation of
yeah, so
what
this
that...
is something this came up at a council study session a couple months ago. There was some confusion. Well, one, that we were operating under the 2006 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code. So as part of every 3 years, there's a new property maintenance code that's released. Now would be the time we've gotten our money's worth out of the 2006 edition. So this one, in one part, it updates to the most current version of the code. And then secondly, there was some confusion in the way our ordinance was written previously. It presented a possibility that that the building official may act as the judge, jury, and executioner with respect to the property maintenance code, meaning that he could issue a violation notice along with an order for corrective action and without the intervention of the judge or anything else. So we removed that language from our ordinance, which that language is not in any other ordinance. So in 2006, when we did that, I'm not sure why we added that in there. But it's more appropriate. That language is more appropriate for condemnations, which that's in another section of our ordinance, which it's already there. So there's no reason to have it duplicated. So this not only cleans up and removes that confusing language, it updates us with the most current version of the property maintenance code.
Okay. Have a motion?
Make a motion to approve an ordinance to amend the City of Lathrup Village Code of Ordinances at Chapter 14, Buildings and Regulations, Article 6, Property Maintenance Code, by deleting Article 6 in its entirety and replacing as follows. In order to adopt the 2018 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code as a property maintenance code for the city and to include the necessary additions, insertions and charges to property maintenance code necessitated by the adoption.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next up, we'll have the consideration of the second reading and adoption and an ordinance to amend the City of Lathrop's Village, amend the City of Lathrop Village Code of Ordinance at Chapter 46, miscellaneous offenses, provisions, forfeitures, and penalties by adding Article 12, Parks and Recreation Protection, and to repeal existing Section 46 through 31.
Okay, so this is the second reading of this. This, again, was brought forth based upon the updated Parks and Recreation policies. Previously, the only provisions of our ordinance that dealt with parks or the Recreation Department dealt with the hours of operation for our parks. So this expands and incorporates a lot of the policies that our new Parks and Recreation Coordinator has developed. It incorporates them into our ordinance and allows for enforcement by our police department as well as our Parks and Recreation Coordinator.
Thank you. Anyone make a motion?
Make a motion to approve an ordinance to amend the City of Lathrop Village Code of Ordinances at Chapter 46, miscellaneous offenses, provisions, forfeitures, and penalties by adding Article 12, Parks and Recreation Protection, and to repeal existing Section 46-31.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next up, we will have the consideration of the Road Commission for Oakland County traffic signal LED relamping, westbound I-696 crossover East Southfield, and eastbound I-696 crossover West Southfield for $11,000.
So Mayor and council members, we have a standing agreement with the Road Commission for Oakland County for the traffic signals along the 11-mile 696 expressway. And this one is for the installation of the LED lights for the control devices. And our share is estimated at $11,000.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the cost sharing with the Road Commission for Oakland County for the traffic signal LED relamping project for an estimated cost of $11,000.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, just a quick question to our city manager. Okay, so they're relamping. Are they going to add this to a post or a pole? Are they repositioning or just relamping? Because it's strung across 11-mile, and I'm just trying to figure out if it's going to be repositioned the way they're doing it now, where they're doing all the traffic signals now.
The communication indicates a relamping, and if we're paying 50%, I can't imagine they're going to reposition for $20,000, so it's just a relamping.
When we say relamping, are we talking about the signals themselves, or are we talking about the lights over? I wasn't clear on what this
It's
actually
indicating
was.
the traffic signals are to be relamped.
Okay.
The bulbs,
Yes.
the bulbs.
Are they
With
using
LED.
more powerful bulbs? Do we know anything about that? I mean,
Now you're above my pay
Well,
grade.
LEDs are
LED is all I know.
LEDs are less
Right.
are energy
They-
efficient.
Yes.
energy
but-
efficient, but they
Yes.
could be
Yeah.
more or less, I mean, we
Yeah.
get into
They
the
tend to
whole-
be brighter, but I don't know the
Yeah.
specifications for these particular lamps.
So your question was, will they cost less? What was your question?
No, my question, I mean, I'm just want to make sure that they're not going to be, all of a sudden going from, the level that they're on to all of a sudden being super mega bright where, it's going to be spreading into homes that are in that area.
I'm certain they have to meet certain
I would
specifications.
expect
Yeah.
as well, but, yeah.
And they're doing it everywhere. Yes. Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next, we will have the consideration of the SACWA bylaws revision.
Mayor and council members, what you have before you is from the South Oakland County Water Authority Board, and they made some updates to their articles of incorporation, and in doing so, they are required to get the adoption from each of the member communities. So in your package, you have the proposed new articles of incorporation as well as a summary of the changes on page 144 of your packet and the existing articles of incorporation.
Yep.
And in general, the changes are to address obsolete language.
Thank you. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the SACWA bylaw review.
Second?
It's been moved in second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next, we will do appointment to the Historic District Commission for 3-year term ending December 31st, 2022. But there is an addition
Yes, and I think I
to
neglected,
this.
if you could take one and pass it now.
Okay.
For the Historic District Commission, you currently have 5 members, and you have an application from Don Donavant, and there was another one from Diane Weems, and that's being shared with you currently, assuming that you make these appointments that will bring you up to the 7 membership allowed for this board. And these are for 3-year terms that would be expiring December 31st, 2022.
Thank you.
So this is for both, okay.
Yes, for the 2
Okay.
positions, yes.
So I will make a motion to appoint John Donavant and Diane Reams to the Historic District Commission for 3-year terms ending December 31st, 2022.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Is there any discussion?
It looks like that there's one gentleman on the team now, right? I was glad to see that.
Oh, yeah. No, well, Mark Piotrowski was on there before.
I mean, there's one that'll
One
be
now.
on it
Oh,
now.
okay.
One
Yeah.
out of 7. Good for him.
Yeah.
So is there a fixed number of how many can actually be on this?
7.
Just 7, okay.
So now we have 7.
Yep. Thank you.
He's talented too, so.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have an appointment to Recreation Advisory Committee for 3-year terms ending June 30th, 2022. First person is Loretta DeLoach. Elaine Mannanen, sorry.
Manton.
There's no T in this one. There's
Yeah.
a T on this one.
It's okay. Manton.
Thank
One
you.
of them's correct.
Manton.
Thank you. Marcella Rogers, those are 3 people. Loretta DeLoach, Elaine Mantonen, and Marcella Rogers. I'd like to make a motion.
Marcella.
I'll make a motion to appoint Loretta Delaroche, Elaine Mantinen, and Marcella Rogers to the Recreation Advisory Committee for 3-year terms ending June 30th of 2022.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Is there any discussion?
I think we've got some really good candidates here.
Yes, yeah,
You know,
I agree.
I don't know
It's good.
Loretta Del Roche, but
think
I know
so,
the other
too.
two, and I think
Deloach.
they're Deloach. What did I say?
Get my
DeRoche?
correction in there too. You said DeRoche and it's
DeRoche.
Deloach. Thank
Deloach.
you, with the L. L.
Yeah, there's a famous biker named DeRoche.
Yes.
So. But no, I think both Elaine and Michaela are.
Cello.
Now I'm backing up, but they're both very active in the community, and they're both, you know, their
Yes.
resumes speak for themselves, and I think they'll be great, great
I
appointees.
totally agree with you. I love
And Mayor, I just want to mention, there are still 4 seats available, or should there be anyone in the community
Yes.
that would be interested in participating.
there are 4 seats still available?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Total of 7.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Just wanted
Any
to
other
repeat
discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? They are appointed. Next, we have the appointment of 2019 Mirrors Conference Officer and alternate, and employee and alternate, and authorization to attend conference October 3rd through the 4th, 2001, or is that just 201?
It's
So I'm going to
19.
assume that's 2019, Grand Traverse Resort, Acme, Michigan.
That's on page 162 of your packet. And this is for the annual conference by MERS in regards to the retirement program that they offer. We did have the election for the employee delegates and alternate, and they elected Charles Becker as the employee delegate and Officer Upshaw as the employee alternate. And I'm recommending for appointment Pamela Brach, I always mess up your name, Bracci, as officer delegate, and Scott McKee, chief, as officer. McKee. It's late.
We're having a lot of
McKee.
problems with names tonight.
You know? Chief Scott as the officer alternate.
Did they submit resumes?
I have them on file.
I'm just kidding. We know these two. But I'll make a recommendation to elect.
Motion.
A motion.
Oh my God, y'all are just the English police today, aren't you?
I will make a
Roll with it.
motion to elect members Pamela
Bracci,
Bracci and
Scott McKee.
Scott McKee to the MML Workers' Compensation Fund.
Nope.
Oh, am I wrong?
Go back to L.
Oh, I'm
Just
sorry.
MERS. It's MERS Conference Officer.
Okay. Appointment of 2019 Mayor's Conference Officer and employee, and authorization to attend the conference October 3rd and 4th, 2019 at Grand Traverse Resort in Acme, Michigan.
Second.
Second.
So the move in second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next, we have the motion to elect members to the MML Workers' Compensation Fund Board of Trustees.
Mayor and council members, this is relative to the board that serves on the Michigan Municipal League Workers' Compensation Fund Board. And we received the nominations from them for Devin Olson. He's the city manager for the city of Munising. Adam Smith, he's an incumbent. He's the city manager, municipal executive for the city of Grand Ledge. And David Tosava, mayor of the city of Hastings.
Thank you. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next is city administrator report.
I shared with you my report for today. And I apologize for the typos in the packet. I was working on it a little late on Thursday. Your study session for August 5th, as we mentioned, that is, instead of a study session, you're actually having the combined meeting with the Downtown Development Authority and the Planning Commissioners to start the kickoff of the Comprehensive Master Planning and Visioning process. So that's August 5th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. in the community room, and residents are welcome to attend. As you know, the Infrastructure Study Group has submitted their recommendations, and you voted on that earlier. the fiscal year audit, we have the letter of engagement from Plant Moran, and they will be on site the week of August 12th. I want to remind you that candidate petitions deadline are to be submitted with those affidavits of identity by Tuesday, July 23rd. That's tomorrow at 4 p.m. DTE outages. We've had some significant storms come through this week, but we received a notification from the Michigan Attorney General Nestles reminding residents that Consumers Energy and DTE customers they may be eligible for a $25 credit if they were without power for more than 16 hours as a result of the recent electrical outages. And you can contact your provider in regards to that, and you also may be eligible for that credit if you had more than 7 interruptions in the last 12-month period.
That would be me.
Have to find out if municipalities can apply.
7 outages is probably most of our residents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's at least good to get that information out. I want to let you know I'm going to be on vacation the next 2 Fridays. And
I felt the same way.
And upcoming events include this coming Thursday, the League of Women Voters Oakland area are having a panel discussion on the roads entitled Paving the Way to Better Roads, and that will be in the community room. The panel participants are Craig Bryson from the Road Commission, Eric Lupfer from Citizens Research Council, and Dr. Ron Fisher from MSU. So that's a free event and it's open to the public as well. We are going to have a fun and exciting meet and greet with city staff on Thursday, August 1st from 4:30 to 6:30. And we'll have music and a free taco bar, so we want residents to come out and get to meet everyone and get information and share any concerns they may have. We're really excited about the Caribbean Festival that's coming together very nicely. It's going to be on Saturday, September 14th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's going to include a parade, and I think you had a preview of some of the dancers and the wonderful costumes. And I'm making arrangements for each of you to have your personal costumes.
All right.
And there will be a children's costume workshop on Saturday, August 7th, so they can start making their own costumes to be a part of the parade. And we're planning a VIP reception also for Friday, September 13th. The sponsorship packets should be going out this week, so we encourage our local businesses and residents to help support this wonderful, exciting event. And the summer concerts this week is Madeline Grant, and she's a neo-soul performer. July 31st is Nouveau Jazz, Latin jazz group. And August 7th, we close out the summer series with the famous Thornetta Davis, who's a blues performer.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Attorney?
Nothing for me tonight.
Thank you. Any reports from any boards, commissions, committees?
Yeah, I've got 2. The Infrastructure Committee, I'm not going to open up that again, but I do want to say that,
It's only 9 o'clock.
yeah, we, obviously from what you heard earlier, we are going to be rolling out a education campaign, and we are looking for volunteers who may be willing to be trained on the facts of the proposal that will be on the ballot in November, and willing to go door to door to help us get the word out. So if you're interested in doing that, if you're passionate about our roads and want to help, contact either myself or the city administrator for that. And then for the Planning Commission, just one quick update there. At our last meeting, we approved a site plan for 2 businesses to go into the spots formerly held by Mateo the Tailor and Georgia Soccer Supply on the northwest corner of 11 and Southfield. One business will be a law firm, and the other business is a massage spa. And so those were approved, and they will start working on those properties soon to get the site plans implemented and up and running in business.
Thank
I have
you.
a question about the infrastructure. Will your team, and again, I really think that your team did an excellent job of coming together. When you begin the door-to-door, are you going to have like a bulleted or some type of summary sheet
Yeah.
that will have a steps, okay,
Yeah,
so
so-
that we can all
One-
say the same thing
Yeah,
and do the same?
exactly. That's
Okay.
the whole idea when I was saying
Okay.
training, because again, as it was mentioned in our study session, you know, we can't advocate for or against, at least using city resources. We have to just state the facts, and so we'll
Right.
talk about the facts. And to your point, one of the things that I was working on last night, and it's almost done, is a fact sheet.
Okay.
So questions and answers, and it basically follows, for the most part, the presentation that I did at the town hall last Thursday, but just putting it in the form of questions and answers, so residents who don't come to a town hall, you know, we can deliver to them a copy of the fact sheet, and they can read very specifically, you know, all the questions that we answered and all the things that we brought up.
Okay, so you said we can't really spend city money.
We can't spend city money advocating a position. We
Okay.
can spend city
All right.
money rolling out the facts, but we have to be very careful on how we present
How we
that.
present it, we're not spending extra money, so we can't do a mailer or anything. Okay, I just wanted to be sure that we'd have the
Well,
fact sheet.
You
you
can
can
do
do
that.
a mailer.
We can
but
do a mailer?
It just, again,
You
it just
can't
has to
say
be fact.
vote yes
Oh,
on this
okay.
proposal, or
I
vote
got
no
it.
on this proposal.
Because I would like to recommend that we think about doing a mailer.
We're
so
we're definitely
that
looking at all of
the-
those. Yeah.
Because that's my only concern, is that the community knows,
Yeah.
okay? All right, so,
Anything else?
did, oh, Ian, oh.
No,
Yeah, I
Ian's
did.
doing something totally
Oh,
different.
I want to sign it too. But I did want to say, for the bike lanes, I had a conversation with our state rep, Kyra Bolden. Supposedly, they are looking to add, hopefully we'll get the TAP grant. I know we had to answer some more questions, but I was glad to hear that they're looking from their level as to how to supplement whatever funds that we may get for the bike journey that we're on for our neighborhood. So I just wanted to mention that. And the town hall with the lieutenant governor that had to be postponed because of his family blessing is now going to be rescheduled to August 1st at 5:30, where he's going to come in and talk from the governor's perspective on roads, education, and just to meet him. So
He's coming home.
Lieutenant,
You said August 1st?
August the 1st, yes.
So you know we have something going on here August 1st already.
I did talk to Dr. Sherrill about it, and she thought it would work.
What's going
But-
on August 1st?
Is
We
it,
can just
Okay.
have 1 hour meet and greet.
Okay, we'll see, okay? If it has to change, we'll let you know.
Okay.
We can talk about it after.
Anything else? Any unfinished or new business that, Madam Clerk, do you have anything that you'd like to say in 2 minutes?
Just to piggyback off of what Dr. Mitchell mentioned earlier, the last day to turn in your petitions to run for city council is tomorrow. If you plan on doing so, please turn them in before 4 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you.
So a question with that also is if any of the signatures, when somebody turns them in at 4 o'clock, if any of those signatures do not, they're not registered, they don't live in Lathrup, do they have an opportunity to go back out to get whatever signatures needed?
You do not have that, at 4 o'clock, that's the cutoff time. So everything has to be done and
valid and right.
approved in the right amount by 4 p.m. tomorrow. And it's 25 signatures, no more than 50. So stop by to see me. Thank you.
Thank you. So did I, but just real quick, one thing that I was excited about, Donna and I actually was able to, we were hosted with Nancy Pelosi today, and Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence and seemed like, oh, and the mayor, I mean, not the mayor, the governor was there. So it was very, very interesting, and I was just excited to actually be able to hear her speak on some things. So just wanted to share that with you, that we go outside the boundaries of Lathrup. That's all. Okay. I could talk some more just because you all talked a lot just to make you suffer, but I will not do that. Payback is great sometimes. Okay, so I'm done. Anyone else for the good of the cause? Okay, well, then I'm looking for a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
It is adjourned. Have a good night.
Thank you.